Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated on the first episode of my Landless playthrough as Eoin Latheirt, a ecclesiastic from the southwest of Ireland. He began his journey out of Ireland to escape from the Viking raids which would eventually lead to the seizure of the area he was born in. Inishfallen, where he studied, has been seized by Holland. Eoin now finds himself in the court of the King of Wessex, who he has just converted to Insular Christianity. Now, I had been planning that Eoin would travel to Canterbury on a pilgrimage. He has already visited the university there, and then make for France. What I'm going to do instead is move the camp. Now we're going to move the camp to Middlesex, and I think what we're going to try to do is to possibly secure a few more converts to the insular cause. Now, unfortunately, a number of individuals in this region are ill. I think there's a bout of consumption going around, and Eoin has been taken with an illness. Our physician, Giat the Bearded, we will tell him to do no more than is necessary. And we're feeling a bit brighter. Look at that, synchronized clapping. And having reached Brentford, which is a church holding, we now have the decision to visit that holding. So up until now, Eoin and his crew have been predominantly visiting city centres. We will now visit the church holding at Brentford. And you know what? We'll get all the holy stuff out of the way first of all. We'll visit the church grounds. We could head to a healer's hut and get rid of the illness that is still affecting us, I believe. The first thing we will do is enter the church. Dungol, our poet, comes with us. We could ask God for a blessing. Life expectancy plus 20. Stress loss plus 40. Piety plus 8 per month. What we're going to do instead is give a donation. Because I think we spent about 1,000 piety to convert the King of Wessex. So we need to get together as much piety as we can. We could still have him bless our journey. Do you know what? Yeah. Mayhaps God can bless our journey. It's entirely possible that we have gotten the plus 8. There we go. Blessing of Resilience. I'm not too sure if we've gotten all of those things or just one of them. But plus 8, 22 piety per month. Boys, oh boys, we're going to do some converting. A garden stroll couldn't hurt. We could convert to Catholicism and lose a grand total of 9 stress. I don't think so. Let's pick some fruit in the church gardens at Brentford. And we'll take a visit to the healer. I don't want to buy medical ointments from a man with a jaw like that. We will see if he could give us some treatment. 35% chance to lose ill. It was unsuccessful, but it hasn't made things any worse. We will, as always, visit the tavern, hear a story or two. I don't think we have a huge amount of stress to get rid of. 18 to gain some Hastelauther wit. And even here at the church, we have the ability to visit the town crier and see if they could maybe generate some. There's some stewardship, there's some diplomacy. We'll take these stewardship contracts. So they have been thrown up to our northwest. There is raise a building and settle a boundary dispute. I think we might head for the boundary dispute first of all, because those are fairly short. And considering it's so short, I will visit a number of regions around the area, which will give us a small bit of stewardship and a good chunk of martial. We could go with a 50-50 chance, which might net us extra gold. But instead we will go with the certain success and get 36 gold. So here the Reeve is delighted. Nobody could have reckoned with the full academic fury of the Irish Rovers. Another happy patron. And having returned to camp with more converts to the insular cause, we will head back to Oxfordshire. This time to raise a building. As Eoin scopes out the construction site with his merry band of bricklayers in tow, he's gonna take a look at some nearby ruins and discover nothing. All the fresh air on the construction site is doing wonders for Owen's health. He is no longer ill. And Owen has unlocked a new lifestyle learning perk. I'm going to go, I think, for Camp Scientists. It's going to give bonus modifiers from the Steadfast Camp. But what I'm also going to do is actually switch across to the Stewardship focus, Bartering. I think there's a good chance I'm probably going to go for Architect. It's going to help us to add domicile buildings to our camp. The very first interesting character that Owen met on his journey out of Munster was a necromancer. We have met another necromancer. Maybe he's checking around those ruins that we were looking through. We could again take the same option as last time. Learned in Demonology, +3 learning, -15% monthly piety. Oh no, that's going to be terrible. But speaking of something that is terrible, a group of Norse settlers hailing from Scandinavia have settled on the coast of northern France, making a new home for themselves there. I wonder if they've heard of our Lord and Saviour, Insular Jesus. Owen has been on the road for quite a lengthy period of time, over a decade at this stage, and he still hasn't actually done anything to decrease the stress of the people in his caravan. Dungol will make an attempt to increase our stewardship by 2, but if it fails, he will suffer a critical level of stress. Because we're lazy, I think Owen is going to say, how quaint. No, we'll lose some stress and Dungol will lose some opinion, but that's fine. And after a short time, we are in a position to raise a building. We can execute that scheme, and we can execute for the first time, I think, with confidence. And it is another triumphant success for Owen. We've gotten 45 gold, gained increased opinion, and 1,250 provisions. We can't hold that many provisions. I think we had 55-22, so thanks for the 30 provisions that we could carry, the 28 provisions. One of the reasons that Owen moved his camp to Middlesex was to attempt to convert the ruler of the region. However, she has actually converted. In the meantime, she was a Catholic at one stage. She did not convert alongside her husband, the King of Wessex, but she has seen the light of slightly different Insular Jesus. And so what we're going to do is take this opportunity to move the camp just a tiny bit into Berkshire. Arriving at Reading, we will see if the town crier has any contracts. There are some diplomacy, some intrigue, and some justiciar contracts. These would involve culling criminals while bringing justice and adhering to local law. I'm not too sure we're in a position to bring justice, so we might go for these diplomatic dealings. The Earl of Berkshire is a difficult man to convince of the righteousness of insularism by basically using up everything that we can, demonstrating St. Columkill's prosperity, using St. Patrick's tongue, speaking with fervour and extolling God's benevolence, which will probably knock off close to another 1,000 piety. We have an 80% chance to convert him. And without even waiting for his answer, Owen is going to move north to assist in the collection of taxes. I think this is the second time we've collected taxes for this man. This man wants a lot of taxes. And here is the first major resistance that Owen has suffered in attempting to spread insularism throughout Wessex. And as we arrive again in Leicestershire, it looks like it's the same crew of people that we extorted for money the last time round. And again, after a short interrogation, Owen has managed to wrangle even more money out of them. 4 pieces of evidence out of a possible 4. You will pay in full, and Owen will be rewarded in full with 63 gold. Now, our camp was moved to Leicestershire. I didn't actually move the camp, it's been moved up there. I'm not too sure if the local ruler actually basically requested us to move. And we've been given some unfamiliar rations. It's supposedly Anglo-Saxon cooking. Well, we have the opportunity to blend in some herbs from Irish cuisine. Ah, this is obviously a spice box that we're creating. This is going to decrease stress. I don't think we have any stress to decrease, but we will gain increased provision capacity, and at the moment we need that. And it looks like this is why Ethelwine has invited us to Leicestershire to move our camp, because he wishes to convert to Insular Christianity. We have a 90% chance of success. And you know what? By distributing alms in St. Breed's name, we'll get that up to 100% and free up even more space in our provisions. And so Owen brings Ethelwine into the fold, blessed be God, and travels westward to take up another boundary dispute task. We again have our 50-50 chance, but we also have a chance for enlightened debate. And that'll bring in our 37 gold. Now that we've gotten some money together, I'm going to use it to level up our supply tent. But here's something I hadn't spotted before. Each building has some unique upgrades. So we could actually, and here's a very interesting one at the very top, plus 10 domicile income and monthly stewardship lifestyle experience. But for now, I'm just going to go with the upgrading the tent to level 2 to get some extra provision capacity. Following the conversion of Eoin of Leicestershire to insularism, I've travelled to the court of his liege, the King of Mercia, in a bid to convert him and to give Edelwine some support. However, there is a 0% chance that he will accept conversion. While we're here, however, we will use the opportunity to travel to a court in Wales to improve a ruler's reputation, get some money together, which will be of aid to us, because I think Owen is going to have to start seriously thinking about heading to the continent. And in Ireland we have a series of dramatic events. The High King of Ireland, Eoin Latheirt, has gone to war with Holland for the conquest of Thomond. And finally, after many years of trying, just as we reach Wales, we have managed to get to full opinion with Alcarad. That took a while. We can see that that war in Ireland is not going well. Athlone has fallen to Dutch troops just as we complete the expansion of our supply camp. And Flaherty, our diplomat, in this improve the reputation scheme, has been given the nickname the Loyal. Well, we can execute our scheme. It is a success. We get some money together. And on returning to camp, we're going to head south, back into Wessex, in a bid to increase the reputation of, if I am correct, a stark raving mad lunatic. And we're not going to improve his reputation, we're going to regale his court. Oh, this is going to be fun. Now actually, the situation in Ireland is a bit more complex than I initially thought. Athlone has indeed fallen to the Dutch, but at the moment, Desmond is under the control of the High King. So it's entirely possible that they could carry this off and liberate Thomond. We were treated as oddities in Scotland. Well, the same is happening in Wiltshire. We are going to tell Earl Sigheer about Irish living and increase opinion with him and cultural acceptance. Events in Ireland become more dramatic. Thomond has fallen to the Irish, but Breffni has fallen to the Dutch. Now, the major problem is that the Irish most likely are marching on Ennis. That's all well and good. The Dutch, however, are probably marching on Alloch, the capital. So unless the Irish can get a bit of a naval invasion going and head for Holland proper, I'm not too sure how this is going to go. We have regaled Sigheer's court with tales of Ireland and tales of our own daring do, and Sigheer's marshal, Oswald, has came up with a truly unique nickname for us. Because I have the theologian trait, he's going to call me the Theologian. Oswald, you divil. And while we might be known as a theologian, we're currently focusing on stewardship. I'm going to go for camp tax, which is actually going to dramatically increase our domicile income. I would like to try and get professional recruitment, which improves the characters recruited in the tavern. But for now, we will dramatically drive up our earnings for a man who has taken the vow of poverty. Here's that issue I was talking about just a few moments ago. Ennis has fallen, but so too has Alach. Oriel still remains free from Dutch control, and it's entirely possible that the Irish forces that took this region are now marching north to do battle with the Dutch. But the capital of the Kingdom of Meath is now under the control of the Dutch, and it's entirely possible that that positive number will start to tick down the longer that goes on for. And indeed, the liberation of the Kingdom of Meath begins. Athlone has been liberated. But Eoin is very far away from the action, and he is more concerned with regaling the court of Earl Sigheer. We will execute our scheme. We have a 90% chance of success, and he's delighted. And we have gained and excelled at contract hook on the Earl. We have a long path ahead of us. And so Eoin has done tremendous work on carrying out contracts for a number of different rulers in this region. What we're going to do is we're going to move the camp to Oxfordshire. I don't think we need to customize the route. We will start our march. And this returns us to the court of Earl Sigbert, who we carried out a contract for prior to this. And because of the service that we have rendered to him, he is fully prepared to accept insularism into his life. And as we're waiting for that conversion, we'll see if we can get some new stewardship contracts in the locality. We've collected so much tax for our good friend Ethelwine that he is raising a new building. We won't be the ones doing it, however. We're going to travel eastwards to settle a boundary dispute after we finish a few other affairs in this region, such as overseeing the conversion of Sigbert of Oxfordshire to insularism and strengthening the presence of insularism in Wessex. And we're now going to return to the court of Sigheer, who we just regaled. Because of our high reputation with him, we already have a good chance of converting him. We're going to use the hook that we got from regaling his court. We will extol God's benevolence, and that will see another convert brought into the fold. I think we've now managed to get a majority of the rulers in the region to convert to insularism. We're moving our camp again to Surrey. Our main problem, however, is going to be the young Earl of Kent. I'm not too sure if we'll be allowed to try and convert 9-year-olds. In Surrey, Eoin is going to visit the local church and we'll make a donation. So we'll take another wander around the gardens here. As always, we could convert to Catholicism, but instead we'll pick up some provisions. Listening to a story in the local tavern, we're gonna contemplate the story, which had a few good points. And we've managed to gain exotic stewardship for 3 years, which gives us +2 stewardship. After which we can exit Kingston and head for this boundary dispute just a short distance away, at no travel cost. Finlay, the poor man, looks to be running into a bit of trouble. He's had to start hiring mercenaries, Viking mercenaries, because while Athlone remains free, so too does Ennis. We return from Malden with 28 gold after sorting out a boundary dispute, and we're going to immediately put that money to good use on a pilgrimage to Canterbury. And on this pilgrimage, after all that Eoin has done in the region, we're going to select Zealotry. And we are in a position to increase the pomp to ceremonial. It's quite expensive, and we are saving for the ferry across to Europe, so we'll just leave it as normal. Contemplative at level 3, and start our very short journey. I'm not too sure if I've been saying Cambridge for the last while, but we are of course at Canterbury, and we meet with the Bishop of Kent, the suffragan bishop of the Earl of Kent, and we can ask him to intercede with God. We can pay him 25 quid. gain some piety and gain 30 opinion with the Pope, who is not our biggest fan at the moment. Please intercede with God for me. And after all the great pilgrimages and tours that we've had so far, our travel to Kent ends. It was rather uneventful, but it has been an honour. And returning to our camp, we will move to Dover for our last time in England as we prepare to travel to the continent. But we have one last major task to perform before we do so. We can indeed make an attempt to convert the 9-year-old Earl of Kent to insularism. It's a 92% chance of success. I'm going to guarantee this. 400 piety. We'll get that back in no time. There is Ethelwerd, the Bishop of Kent, who interceded with God, or at least the Pope, hopefully. And thanks to the hard work of Owen, Canterbury has now become part of the insular world. Now, no regions in Wessex have actually converted the population to insularism as yet. We can see that Wessex is being largely protected from a plague by its adherence to insularism. And we can see back in Ireland that much of Munster has fallen to Catholicism. And of course the Isles, or Iona, is still Norse pagan. But insularism now has 2 holy sites, Armagh and Canterbury. And I didn't actually realise this, but Maccus, the Earl of Kent, who we've just converted to insularism, his mother is married to Sigbert of Oxfordshire. Sigbert is his stepfather, who we just converted to insularism not that long ago. But with those tasks complete, Owen is going to travel across the English Channel. I was planning actually on heading for Holland and attempting to convert the ruler of Holland so that we would keep insularism in Ireland, but it's entirely possible that they'll actually be defeated. Now, the only problem is if he dies and his lands are split between his children, it's going to be, we'd actually have to travel to Ireland to try to convert them. So we're going to hope that Eoin Latheirt is going to be able to hold off and secure insularism. We're going to travel across the English Channel. I don't think we're going to be able to proselytize to many locals in this region. And what a journey this has been. It has taken Owen over 15 years to reach the continent as he has fled from the upheaval that is engulfing Ireland. But his missionary zeal kept him in Wessex for a protracted period of time, where he has brought much of the region into insularism. We're going to see if we can find some contracts to aid us. And unfortunately, things are not looking great at the moment. We have intrigue, criminal, we've 2 diplomacy contracts. Don't have much of a choice but to take them. No sooner has Owen arrived on the European continent and begun hobnobbing with local rulers, Count Eckert, of an Italian possession in this region, then theological disputes have broken out in the wake of his conversion of Wessex. And no doubt Owen is the only man who can deal with those, so he will be returning to Wessex in an unexpected development. If that quest, or if that task is still in place once this one finishes. And what interesting and exotic European characters we are meeting already. Eustace the Heathen, a French Catholic, wishes to join our band. I think this could be an interesting figure to bring with us back to deal with the theological disputes popping up in Wessex. Impressing Count Eckert feels like a full season's work sometimes, but it is important work because he is an important figure. He is the spymaster to the King of Italy. And if we can improve our reputation with him, it's entirely possible that we could sway him and possibly the entire Italian peninsula towards insularism. While we hobnob with Italian counts in France, we receive news that the High King of Ireland, Eoin Latheirt, has defeated the Dutch and liberated Thomond. However, his health is poor and he is now facing a revolt from Flanchina. Owen gains another stewardship lifestyle perk. I'm going to go for on the road, which is going to increase the travel speed. Not the most important, however, it does bring us close to getting 20 gold for every point of interest visited. Eoin Latheirt isn't the only man facing a revolt. Count Eckert has put on his military uniform to come to his liege's aid, as he too faces a revolt, and this is now making us a bit worried that we mightn't get paid in full. By St. Columkill, I will have my money. We need to return to Wessex to deal with some theological problems, so we need to put together as much money as we can for the journey. And with any luck, we're going to get even more money from him as we actually execute the scheme. We will seize the moment. And look at this, we're flexing our muscles. He is very impressed with how strong we are. And so less than a year after leaving England, we will return to the court of the King of Wessex to settle some theological disputes which have sprung up in our absence. On the return journey, Owen comes across the wreckage of a ship and finds a potsherd which increases clergy opinion. Before departing for the continent, Owen attempted to convert as many of the vassals of the King of Wessex as possible. However, it would appear as though some of them have been laughing behind Ethelred's back at his conversion. So we have committed to doing a tour of his domain, starting with Dover, which I believe is the domain of the young Earl Maccus. Arriving in Kent, there is a wanderer who we could try to convert and convince them to see things as we do. We could do this by beating the living daylights out of them, from what I can understand. But we have a 96% chance to browbeat them with our knowledge. At Canterbury itself, Owen meets a monk who is prepared to listen to additional arguments. By all means, allow me to share my interpretation. With 2 people converted, now is probably not the time to start raiding tombs in Rochester. As we pass through Kingston, it's going to give Owen a tiny bit of stress because he's arrogant, but let's see if we can pick up the gardener trait, which gives him a bit of extra stewardship. In Gloucestershire, Owen will again use his learning in a bid to convert another holdout to the faith. Owen is nearly completed with his task. He travels on to Winchcombe. He will present his interpretation again, and has managed to gain the Saint achievement, reaching the highest level of piety as he travels Wessex, continuing to bring the faithless into the insular faith. This is the 4th person with that name that I have met, and it is another success. We return to Ethelred and he virtually dances, so we must be on a Zoom call or something like that. He turns to pick up a pouch, heavy with coin, and hands it over promptly. Earned every last bit of this, you did. I smile and nod. The Lord guided my path. It was a tremendous success. We've received 140 gold. Owen crosses the English Channel yet again and contemplates the most religious life that he has lived. We could attempt to achieve the Holy Legend, the most religious life of Master Owen. It would be 4 gold per month to promote. We do have a fairly solid war chest at the moment, but we don't have much coming in. And for now, I'm going to spend that money on improving our camp. So if we go back to the supply tent and look at the internal upgrade, we have this one, which will increase the domicile income. Back in Ireland, what an eventful year it has been for Eoin Latheirt. He defeated the Dutch. He has defeated a rebellion by Flanshina. He has revoked Meath from Flanshina, and then a few months later executed him. And now Eoin Latheirt finds himself in a war against Connacht. So Eoin Latheirt seems to have some legitimacy problems, and another individual with some legitimacy problems is the new ruler of Normandy, who is looking to promote his legitimacy. At the moment he's doing that by raising a raiding army and sending it off in some direction. This is a diplomacy task. We're not tremendous at those, and it's a tier 2, but you know what? We'll give it a go. And on Owen's arrival in Rouen, he finds Constance haranguing a crowd about Duke Dag. If we can convince this woman, the others will fall in line. The rowdy peasant was determined, but all determination crumbled before Owen's conviction. Duke Dag has paid us 114 gold. We could very well start thinking about that legend now, and no doubt we have greatly increased our reputation with the ruler of Normandy. Excellent. And so now, for the first time in a very long time, Owen can take a bit of a break. There has been no revelry in the camp since his escape from Ireland, but now that he has reached the continent, it is time to celebrate. We're not in a position to appoint a guest of honour. We will have simple meals and sparse drinks, as I don't have a mess tent to go up to the next level, and hopefully that will decrease the stress of some of the people in the camp. Flaherty is telling a tall tale. Our arrogance will not allow that to stand uncontested. I have a story too, and ours is even better. It looks like the camp fire is going out. We have a 25% chance to gain Shrewd by breaking up some empty barrels and crates. And we have indeed become Shrewd. As we get blind drunk and burn every crate and barrel in sight, even the ones that aren't empty, a merchant appears in the camp offering some goods for sale. We could buy some fine regalia and reduce the phase length of the Seduce scheme, because we've been using that a lot. Hefty renown, hefty prestige and piety. There is, however, a smaller trinket which is much cheaper, but it actually gives us some monthly stewardship lifestyle experience. And for that, I think I'm going to take this book on making gold. After all of that, the campfires do eventually die down. We've burnt all the barrels, and every attending guest has lost 98 stress. It has been a lengthy journey, almost 20 years in the making, but Eoin Latheirt now stands on continental Europe and stands as a religious icon, as one of the foremost thinkers in all of Christianity. On the next episode, he's going to travel south to the court of the Emperor Charles the Bold, and then he's going to head to Aachen, to the palace where John Scotius taught. Now, beyond that, I'm not too sure what his next task would be. Would it be to travel on to Rome? Would it be to start working on a religious legend? Would it be to start working on some of the other decisions, the travels of Eoin Latheirt, or the Insularist path? Which direction do you think he should go in? Type it below in the comments. As always, thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one. And if you meet anybody who disputes Insularism, before then, punch them. Punch them until they accept Insularism.